to this computer. Okay. Is it looking okay? Is everything good?
Everything is fantastic.
Okay, so welcome. Welcome to this event. If you're new to this, I am Dante Starshine. I channel the Pleiadian Council. They are a brilliant soul group that is supporting us in our ascension process, and they help us to get clear on many things and discover more of what's really going on higher levels and how we can make our connection with our own guides and much more. I'm going to let them come through in a matter of moments, and you can ask your questions, and ideally you ask your questions live with at least audio, because if they are personal questions, that allows us to go a little bit deeper until you find that point of clarity. Sometimes we won't get the clearest answer if we just type it in, but if you have a general question about things that are going on in the world or the universe, then you can just type that in and we can get clear answers there. I do one-to-one channeling sessions to help people go deeper, and I am launching a second round of the channeling course in 2 months to help people as well develop these skills and explore their consciousness in these ways. And I think I can start now, unless there's anything else that needs to be shared. Hello, and we say good day to all of you at this moment of your time. As the Pleiadian Council, we speak on behalf of the Galactic Alliance and many other beings of service to this grand process we know as Ascension, who wish to come to meet you in the ways that they can. It is our thanks to you first that we begin with for your willingness to tune into this transmission and allow yourself to reach these higher frequency energies through applying what we share in your life. Allows your planet to grow and ascend, and that is in a sense of service to all that is. Now, we are thrilled to continue supporting you and your world as you go through these grand processes. In the times to come, many of the patterns that have already been taking place, in a sense, can get even a bit louder, can draw in even a bit more of your attention. And the storm, you could say, that is moving through your planet to support a greater catalytic awakening will continue. So one of the wisest things for you to do is to, in a sense, tune out to the fear-based energies and allow yourself to tune in with your own center and your own personal connection to source, to your guides, understanding that sometimes when you allow the frequencies of the collective to overwhelm you, you lose your own power to change the current. You must understand that none of this happens to you. It happens through you. And the way that you choose to adapt to these situations and emanate a vibration of ease and grace will allow many others to do the same. While it is, of course, a challenging transformation in your world, it does bring you to experience greater openings into this age of light. So today we will jump right into your own questions, those things that you would like to share with us, and refine in your own understanding. You may begin with any questions that you have, and we will do our best to reflect the answers that, in a sense, exist already within you in your own heart.
See, there's a question coming from Lotte Jackman. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it was typed right into the chat. And so perhaps I'll read it. It says, I humbly ask the Pleiadians of their knowledge of the consciousness of plants. How can I best serve Gaia at this time? I'm following on Facebook now, and they typed this into the Zoom group chat.
Yes. Plants are one form of consciousness within nature, just as much as you are a form of consciousness within nature. So the evolution that you may experience most clearly is to understand that you are part of the same system. And the way that you pour your energy into the system of nature that you are a part of will determine how these plants interact with you as well. And plants are certainly conscious. They have refined senses that are very different than the senses that you as humans have, though they are aware of everything that is occurring around them. They have, of course, higher intelligence spirits that are, in a sense, immortal beyond the life and death cycle of one particular plant. All of those plants within that species of the certain plant has a guardian spirit as a overarching consciousness that you can come to connect with and learn from. And the plants also are much like a network into that realm of what you consider nature spirits. The nature spirits use the plants as homes, communication devices. They are drawn to the plants and the higher dimensional components that the physical plant has. So you may come to play with this idea that the plants can hear you and you can interact with them telepathically the same way you would anything else. You can pose questions to the plants and notice their responses through your own inner intuitive feeling. Perhaps you receive thoughts or images as you connect with the spirits of the plant. And in order for your earth to really transform, you must remember this intelligence inherent in the plants and understand that they contain all of the real medicine that you need. So in your earth's transformation, it will indeed be a journey of returning the entire earth back into a garden, in a sense, rather than continuing to only develop technology in densely populated areas. There will be a great power in restoring the natural environments in many areas of your world. We hope that answers this question.
So if anybody has a question, I invite them to either type their name into the chat or use the raise hand function, or even potentially you could just go ahead and unmute yourself and speak as well. But in the case of multiple questions, you could use the hand raise function and I can help facilitate. And Laurel has just raised their hand. So go ahead, Laurel.
Yes. I have been talking to my friend about at some point going to Arizona. It's undetermined the length of time, if I'd just be there for like a 2-week visit or longer, but that has not been decided yet. I'd like to just kind of let it unfold as well as to the timing of this visit. You know, I don't want to rush it, like go sooner than feels comfortable for me. But then if I go in November, I don't know where we'll be with the air flight and any protocol around COVID-19. And might you speak to that?
Yes, you may experience something like a retightening of certain restrictions in November or December. So you may choose to go before then if you would like to. If it really calls to you, if it really ignites a feeling in your heart of a genuine love and attraction, then we would suggest to do it at the time that feels appropriate.
Okay, so wouldn't be any particular difficulty? Well, there might be, you know, some protocol, but I mean, I'm feeling like to go like more around November 10th. I don't know what will transpire in terms of the election, but do you see anything like strongly opposed to going that at that time?
No,
Or even,
that would do quite well.
okay, good. And I think I'll leave it at that and see if there's any more questions. I have a second question for later.
All right.
I'm sensing maybe there isn't a somebody in the queue.
Perhaps not.
No, nobody in the queue. Go ahead.
Okay, so I've been reading this occasionally. I pick up this book, channeled, a channeling of Cryon.
All right.
Yeah, it's a book. The copyright is like 1992 or 1993 or both.
All right.
And in this book, it's mentioned that with higher understanding, there could be a way to make toxic nuclear material such that children could play with it. There might even be some kind of a simple directive, I can't remember, of how that might be accomplished. Probably not anything real technical or complicated was shared, but you know, I do get in my email things about nuclear waste and activism around that. And I feel like I don't know exactly the mindset of these people, but I know that they must be good intentioned. Just if I should share that there are ways, and if I can find the page, I think there was even some simple suggestion of how to do this.
All right. Well, in a sense, the complete technology to make something like this accessible is a long way in its development. So it requires a greater consciousness shift on your planet in order for much of this toxicity to be transmuted. And there is much awareness to still be raised about the importance of restoring natural habitats and reducing the amount of waste and toxins that are being poured into your environment. As you have seen in this past year, it doesn't take much in order for nature to return to a state of equilibrium. It really won't take much. It simply requires that you stop doing certain things that you are doing. But in order for you to do that, there must be a very big consciousness shift.
Okay.
In order to transmute heavy base materials through a process such as alchemy, well, yes, that is very possible, though it requires a great master. That degree of mastery is not one that many humans have achieved at all.
Okay. Okay. And on another tack regarding cryon, there was a particular implant that was spoken of in the book I'm reading, and it seemed to be an option for people who asked for it sincerely at that time. So right now, what's going on the planet for people is for an option for an implant? I know that, well, I didn't ask for it because I wasn't even so aware of it at the time that I got the book. But I guess I know I don't have it because it seems to be takes away the fear and the anger and these things that are not good for us. And so are there implants being dished out? Finding myself amusing, but anyway.
In a sense, yes. If you do make contact with these higher consciousness forms and even allow degrees of interaction with us that would bring you into our ships or our healing chambers, we can help you experience these sorts of energetic upgrades. Though, in order to actually receive them, you must, in a sense, make a shift within yourself. You have to accept the degree of love that would allow you to transmute any degree of anger. You have to allow the fear to be felt and released in order for this implant to, in a sense, go into your system. And this is why there are what you can call ascension symptoms, ascension purges. They are not in any sense a direct result of ascension. It is simply that the higher your frequency goes, the more these things must come to the surface, and they manifest as symptoms or experiences that allow you to get in touch with the negative emotions and the negative belief systems behind those emotions that must be felt, reviewed, and released.
Okay. So for myself personally, since I don't seem to be, I mean, I'm doing okay, sort of okay, but I need to be able to release more of my conditioned stuff, and I don't seem to be doing that as much as I would like to on my own. And I have a counselor that I haven't talked too much this summer, but she deals with protective parts and talking to the protective parts in oneself. And she's pretty good, but I don't know. But what do you see as a good path for me to type of therapy, type of counselor, type of, to move along a little bit more quickly in dealing with my conditioned fears and so on?
Do you journal?
A little bit. I mostly write down stuff that I get in my hypnagogic state or in meditation.
Yes. It can be helpful to journal about some of these negative thought loops, to write them down. And when you put them on paper, it becomes easier to see them as the deceptive half-truths they are. When you put them into form, you can ask yourself, well, what would the opposite of this thought be? And literally write the opposite thought and look for evidence for this new thought. Look for evidence that supports new belief. If you write down the loop of these negative thinking patterns and you get to a core belief at the end of it, you can come to discover what the opposite of that would be and bring your focus into that instead. So this process is something that you can do very much of on your own. And of course, we would be happy to assist deepening into that process. And anyone who is well aware of the nature of negative beliefs and negative thought processes and knows how to release them could support you in that journey as well.
Okay, thank you. And what comes up immediately, especially right now, when there's something for me to do, is that, and this is really up right now, because I did create a plan to do my first meditation and prayer group for Sunday. And I have a number of, what do you call it? Online trainings to do, to go back to substitute teaching, and with a limited time frame. And yesterday morning, I was kind of in a panic, like, well, the bottom line is I've got a lifetime of feeling like I don't have enough time and being pressured, because I guess this is because I don't know, because sometimes I don't know what is the story and what is not the story, but I feel like I have a slower pace. I can be too thorough, but some of it is just wanting to pay attention. So some of it's good, but ever since 6th grade, I've had this thing like, well, I don't have enough time to do what's necessary. And it's kind of played havoc with my life. And so I guess what I'm saying is that just journaling, and I'm not even so much talking about the journaling at the moment as just this overall picture of feeling like I don't have time to do the things that I would prefer to do. And at this point, I worked through so that I haven't canceled the meditation group, but it's kind of dealing with my survival in the world of money and making an income. And so what might you say about that feeling of I don't have enough time and I can't do what I would prefer to do?
Well, you have to realize that time itself, first of all, is sort of an illusion, sort of a trap. You will always have the time to do what you need to do. What doesn't get done doesn't need to get done. if you view things from that perspective, it is much easier. And say there's this feeling of pressure building up, you can notice that the feeling of pressure prevents you from enjoying what you would like to do. So the easiest thing to do about the feeling of pressure is to just do what needs to get done, to not make up excuses or procrastinate, and put all of your energy into doing it in the moment.
Yes, I mean, when I get a little, I guess it's extreme, I don't know, but I think, you know, I just will not do the coursework for returning to substitute teaching, and okay, if unemployment insurance doesn't think I'm actually going back to work after a break, and so I, you know, I think, well, maybe the universe will just provide. I think that's a little extreme, because I don't know if I could, you know, cover all my like basic life expenses. So, you know, that would take a lot of faith. But when survival stuff comes into conflict with what I, you know, what feels like my higher purpose, I feel irresponsible in just saying, oh, well, no employment insurance, won't go back to substitute teaching, and it'll all be okay. So what might you say about that?
Well, again, we say it's as simple as doing it.
Okay. Okay.
Can you accept that simple answer?
Simple as doing both what I prefer and what's survival based.
Yes. And the separation that you are creating between this is just for my survival and this is just for my passion.
Oh.
Because if you couldn't survive, you would then not be able to follow your passion. And if you did not follow your passion, you actually wouldn't survive. It would take much longer. But the understanding is that if you do not authentically express exactly who you are and allow for your heart to guide you in the direction of expansion, then eventually you will, in a way, become very disconnected, very isolated, cut yourself off, and lose the desire really to maintain a physical existence.
Right. Right.
So there's no difference. There's no difference between this activity and that one. They're both part of survival. They are both part of passion. And understanding that when you get this challenging aspect of it out of the way that is necessary, then tension reduces so that you are more relaxed to be present for your passion. So instead of going on a loop mentally about why you do or do not want to do what you are calling the survival work, and that the quicker you do it, the quicker you will be able to thrive.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, thanks to you as well.
All right, Josh is up next.
Hi, hello, Great Council. How's it going?
Yes. Oh, very well.
Thank
We are
you.
always pleased to meet you all.
Thank you. I'd have a question that would kind of piggyback off this prior question. In regards to, would there be a method to have go on impulse a bit easier, or have an easier time just responding to one's impulse, doing something in the moment, just getting a flash of an idea and then going for it in a moment?
Yes. Why do you hesitate? Do you notice what causes you to hold back?
At times it feels like it's a priority thing, but that's only maybe a trick of the mind saying that this other thing, even though the impulse came up, is not as important as something else.
Yes.
Yet oftentimes I find that the losing on the impulse kind of leaves this bit of void of an idea that could have been accomplished in the moment or felt fantastic in the moment. Yet because of the mind just taking over, let's say, that whole conversation, it just drifts off.
Yes, because it was there as a window in time and space, as a portal into another frequency.
What would be a great way to keep up with these portals and to something to remember continuously in regards to that?
All you must do is really have a new belief system that says, my state of being is more important than anything else. So following that portal that opens in time and space for you to almost impulsively take a new direction that represents greater connection, greater passion, you actually expand your capability through expanding your state of being. And when state of being is the most important priority, then you recognize that portal for what it is, and you don't allow yourself to drift off to the believed more important priority.
Wow, great, thanks. Thank you for this.
Yes. And tying it into what we were speaking with the last participant, that if state of being matters more than anything else, you have to recognize these annoying parts that you don't really want to do, but know that you need to do. When they go neglected, you sabotage your state of being. You sabotage it because you feel in the background all the time, there's this thing I have to do that I'm not doing. And in that negative orientation, you lose energy. So unless you can make it so that you don't have to do that thing, you are in a way corrupting your state of being until you do it. And in that sense, it is not 3D at all. It means that once you know you have taken care of it, then you actually have greater power to choose to jump through one of those spontaneous portals that open up, because you know everything in the background, everything at the baseline that needs to be there for me to survive is taken care of. And now I do have the ability to be so in the moment that I can take any one of these many pathways that open up at the drop of a hat.
Okay.
Wow, thank you greatly for that.
Yes.
I may have one small extra question in related to that. It would be, I do find that at times I can visualize, let's say, my task ahead of time, or certain times, or at certain times play around with either a task or a project in my head, in my mind, at much faster speed that I can do it by hand. Yet one thing I've noticed is my mind often takes this ability lightly, mostly because in the West, our imagination has been kind of tossed it aside. So I was kind of wondering, would there be a way to kind of maybe reconfigure that within, putting a bit more emphasis on, you know, cultivating this aspect of imagination for creation and kind of tasks?
Imagination is the portal through which you create, but also it is something that shows you what goes on in these higher dimensional levels. It is your gateway into those realms. Yes, so if your priority is to ascend, your imagination is a key tool in that journey that allows you to access all of those frequencies you want to create as your reality.
Awesome. Would there be a way to maybe anchor that into the mind so that imagination has more of a place and has more of a sensation feeling to a certain degree? Or maybe it's all fine tuning and it's all about practice after a while.
Yes, the more you become comfortable trusting in your imagination and allow it to work with you, the more you will come to rely on it. The more you will come to trust that it is much more than it was made out to be. And when you understand that imagination is what leads you to your greatest illumination, it's what leads you to discover your own truth, you integrate it as the best tool that you have, really. Know that it is a gate, really. And once you practice, in a sense, imagining things and get used to doing that, visions will flow to you automatically. Messages will come to you automatically. And it is once you trust fully in the imagination that you come to transcend it. And the information simply spontaneously arises as you need it.
This was wonderful. Great thanks to you, Council.
Yes, our thanks to you as well.
Next up, we have Katrina.
Hello, people.
Hello, yes.
Yes, I have two questions. Seems to be linked with what you just said when we dropped frequency and going back to doing stuff we dislike, and we ending projecting those kind of lower frequency. So I wanted to have your insight about my two questions, how I can understand them, and how it's a translation of my frequencies. Okay?
How to understand what?
Two questions I have. Do you hear me
Yes.
well?
Yes, we missed something though.
Okay, we will succeed. The first one, it's I am aware I am projecting stress about losing weight, but I did so much, too much change in my diet and my habits, and it seems not working. So I wanted to know if it's some physical issue like hormones, or if it's an issue in the energetical body, and where and how, if I can heal it with shadow work by myself.
It is an emotional issue primarily. The weight physically you can consider a manifestation of emotional weight. So it's when you allow for negative emotions to be felt and processed and transformed that the weight itself will also go. So you may have to notice moments where you use food or anything of that nature to make up for a feeling or to push the feeling away or to distract yourself from it.
Yes.
And instead of doing that, allow yourself to be fully present with the feeling.
And I did so much shadow work. Is it working? Because I'm starting to be fed up.
Well, shadow work is not complete in its own right.
Oh,
It must be balanced with the idea of light work, if you are going to use that metaphor for understanding it.
okay.
Another way of putting it is that discovering negative beliefs is only part of the equation. What actually makes the system work is when you discover the negative beliefs and you change them. So shadow work is the discovery of the negative beliefs, and the integration is in transforming them. And in order to do this, sometimes you have to create experiences for yourself that are the opposite of what you experience in the shadow state. So if your shadow state is feeling continuously lonely, then to truly integrate that shadow and all of the negative beliefs associated with it, you have to create a life where you feel connected, where you have good relationships and you feel energy flows between you and others. If the shadow relates to a lack of self-worth, then you have to create a reality in which you value yourself by changing the beliefs and also doing actions that represent owning your value.
Okay, so you mean the shadow work exercise? It's an exercise which can only work if we accept to change our mindset. Let's say I have a always negative mindset and I do shadow work, and if I don't give it a try and have positive mindset, and stop judging, stop gossiping, being a better version in action, that means I will do the light work.
It's more than mind alone.
Okay.
Mind is one level, though it requires mind and action.
Yes, yes. But we have to
So
put
you change
ourselves.
your mindset so that you can take healthier actions.
Mhm. I understand. I have also another question.
Yes.
I don't understand why the twin flame guy in my life is not manifesting himself, because I know him about since many months now, and the guy is not connecting with me, even if I feel some connections, and I think it's because I am creating stress about it.
Yes, to an extent. Understand, though, that when you are the perfect match for a twin flame, they will show up in some form. So it requires that you fully love yourself and feel complete in yourself. And whenever you would stress out about it, the stress is an emanation of, is an extension of a feeling of incompletion.
Mhm.
So again, as we have said about the twin flames, the whole understanding of a twin flame is based on incompletion. You don't want to manifest a relationship that is a twin flame. Instead, you may manifest what you consider a soulmate. The difference being that in this scenario, you are whole and complete within yourself, and the other person is just a reflection that helps you expand in your own connection to source. You don't need the person to feel complete or to feel that connection, though they deepen the connection through reflection.
I understand. So you mean my higher self is not manifesting this twin flame distraction because the twin flame, my higher self, is trying to direct me to a better outcome.
Yes, you can see it that way.
But is it right,
So,
or am I right or no?
yes, that isn't what we said, but that is correct. as well.
Okay. Thank you so
Yes.
much. It's great. Thank you
Thanks
so
to you
much.
as well.
Goodbye.
Yes. Well, good night, good day, good whatever.
Next up, we have Lotte. Are you there, Lotte? I think I had you up next to speak of, oh, you wrote it. May you speak of the consuming of animals and animal products and the effect on the body. I recently realized there are many carnivorous plants and would enjoy your insight.
Yes. Again, as we have said, all plants are consciousness. They have consciousness as well. You can see it that way. So they are alive, they feel. And the reason why plant-based diets are higher vibration generally has more to do with a direct connection to the source of the plants than it has to do with the idea of consuming something that is killed. Now, many native or indigenous people around the world consume meat and have a direct relationship with the spirits of the animals. And meat, in the sense, can be used in a healthy way when you have that connection, when you commune with and connect with the consciousness of the animals that you take in. So in a sense, if you did that in a very direct and immediate way with local farms, or perhaps raising animals yourself, or perhaps hunting in very ethical ways, and in ways where you consciously engage with the spirit of the animals, it would be well and good. That is not the situation in your world, however, and all of the suffering that the animal goes through throughout their life becomes a part of the energy that you take in. And beyond that, your body does evolve to a point where you don't even need the meat in general. Now, part of the fear-based programming that makes you seem to believe you need so much weight, you need to take on so much of this or that, can bring people to feel as if they are not full, or that they are not grounded without meat, or without heavy foods in general. But the truth is that the less you eat, the more your frequency raises. It is a matter of taking in the nutrients that are really right for you and learning to eat just enough and not take more. So the whole issue with your world and why there is a disharmony in the forces of nature is because humans take more and pollute more than they really ought to be doing. And by fixing this in all of the ways that you can, harmony will restore in nature. Eventually, you all will become beings that do not need to eat in general, but this is, of course, hundreds of years down the line. And we understand that there are some now who experience this now as a pursuit in becoming breatharian, and that is a well and good endeavor. And you can learn a lot from these individuals in their ability to show themselves what the body actually needs. And of course, it requires a vast and an intense lifestyle change that not many are ready for. And we are by no means saying that this is a good thing for everyone to do. It is good for those who feel excited about doing it. And everyone else can learn from that expression how much you actually need. And one last thing you can take from this is of course, if plants have consciousness, then over-consuming plants and eating too much is in a sense the same as taking in too many animal products as well. It is the perfect balance that allows for you to truly grow and ascend.
Wonderful. Next up, we have Denise.
Hello, Pleiadian Council. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Almost a week ago, I began itching really intensely. I don't have a rash or anything. I don't think my skin is dry. And it's been quite a challenge. And I often feel nauseous with the itching. And I'm not sure if it's an allergy or if it's some emotional or neurological or psychological thing. And I'm wondering if you can offer me some insight into this and perhaps what I could do to relieve this. Thank you.
Have you been living in hotter than usual temperatures for yourself?
Yes. I'm
Yes.
in Arizona. But I stay in an air-conditioned house during most of it.
All right. Some of it has to do with the heat. And also the circulation of air in your home. The important thing to do with the itching is to really not react to it. Because when you scratch or attempt to do something about it, it will always become worse. So as long as truly your skin is not dry, then simply be aware of it. Be aware of it as a sensation and realize that it is not inherently a good or a bad sensation. But if you focus upon it in a negative way, you will amplify it. Whereas if you don't pay any attention to it, it will ease.
Yes. Is there an emotional or psychological reason behind this? Because it's quite unusual. It just started all of a sudden and it's very intense. And I haven't experienced it.
What emotion do you feel in response to the itching?
Irritation.
There you go.
Is this mine or am I picking this up from the field?
If all is one, then both of these statements are true.
When you say the circulation of air in my home, what do you mean? What is the issue?
Nothing really. You are simply adjusting to a new environment. It takes some time. But again, the circumstances in your outer reality line up to be a match to the vibration. And the real cause is irritation. And so as you feel the itching, irritation is your natural response to it. It's showing you how to get in touch with that irritation and how to really start to clear that from your being.
Yes. Is there anything else you would like to say that can assist me in this?
As you allow yourself to bring more awareness into the emotion of irritation and where you may feel it in your body and breathe through it, you will find the itching subsides. And imagine cooling down the inner fire. So perhaps you feel this irritation as a deep, hot energy, and you simply imagine cooling light, even snow, passing through that area. And as you come into a more calm and balanced state, always remember that what brings you joy will always be a remedy for whatever may bring you frustration, irritation, or anything of this nature.
Thank you. I would love to ask real quick. I'm planning on a trip tomorrow to visit an old friend in a hot place. We're gonna go camping and go play on the lake. And I'm wondering if there's any like self-care or anything I need to be especially aware of to keep myself in balance during this time. I have been feeling a little bit anxious about it because I haven't been feeling at my best.
Hydration, lots of hydration.
Yes. Oh yeah,
Even some calming nervine herbs will be helpful. Swimming and using the water as that cooling tool, taking the energy of the water. You are not just physically experiencing your body in water. The water element is entering you and can allow you to find that greater flow.
Yes. And what's interesting also about the itching is at the same time I started sneezing a lot, which makes me think there's like I'm having an allergic reaction, like on the physical level. And is this happening? Are they connected?
Have you introduced anything new into your environment?
Not that I can imagine, not that I can think of.
No, then it is not really an allergic reaction.
And what is the sneezing from?
It is simply your body's reaction. It is a purging of the energy that needs to release from you.
Oh, I get it. I think I understand when you said that. I felt it. It's just this energy that's moving through, and I'm having a hard time with it. So I'm scratching and itching, and it's also trying to move through sneezing. But I hear you. I hear you saying it. Just kind of let it, just kind of feel it, not react to it, and just it'll move through on its own. Okay.
It is your resistance that makes any symptom stronger. So when you allow yourself to ease into it and trust that every negative emotion and every symptom of this nature is a release process, it will all flow much easier.
Thank you so much. That was really helpful. I really appreciate it.
Yes, so thanks to you as well.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask a similar question to you guys, the Pleiadians. I recently made friends with 2 cats who have joined me in my home, and I'm deciding what areas of my home I'd like to open up to the new kitties. And I have moderate to severe cat allergy, and I just, I don't want to be too ambitious in terms of letting the cats go everywhere and maybe me triggering myself. But on the other hand, I'm finding really great success with homeopathic integration of the cats into my body's energy, in my body, my area around me. So I guess I would ask you guys along the similar lines of the previous question, this idea of entraining the body to overcome an allergy, like, is that just like, do you think that's a real thing that will work for me, or any feedback around that?
You can over time adjust so that you don't have as severe of an allergic reaction. However, some of it you may, in a sense, be able to transmute, transform. Some of it may linger. As you detoxify your body more, the allergic reactions may subside. We would encourage you to experiment with where you can handle the cat's proximity. Certainly don't allow them to curl up in your bed too much, and areas in general where you spend prolonged periods of time.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yes, so thanks to you as well.
And I believe Robert is next.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Wonderful. Greetings. Recently, I've been expanding my vibrations so much that everything is coming into my senses.
Yes.
And it's a slow understanding that I'm going through. Just receiving and understanding my first messages. I would like to know how to maybe increase the speed of that, so my human form can get more in tune with understanding all the light and vibration that I'm receiving. I mean, every point of light in the sky down to the weeds under my feet, they're all coming into me.
Yes. Well, generally, we would say that the more you follow your passion, follow your excitement, the more your frequency will be at a higher level so that you can take in much more information. And this doesn't always have to be doing intense activities or having powerful experiences. Your passion manifests as every simple choice that you make. Out of everything you could do with your time and energy, what brings you to feel the greatest degree of love and connection. And you can also experience many different guided meditations with the intention of connecting with your guides or entering into astral realms and extending your sensory input to both your physical senses as well as your psychic senses, so that you can start to as well take in information from non-physical realms.
Right. Yeah, that's beginning.
Yes.
And I'm just trying to get it to flow a little better, understand it a little easier for my physical presence.
What is it that you seek to understand?
Well, the messages that I'm receiving. Wherever I
What
focus,
messages are you then receiving?
I don't understand them.
All right.
But
Well, what are they?
I hear them, I feel them. It's the vibration from the galaxies, the
Yes.
vibrations from people and animals. I mean, people are easy for me.
Yes.
And it's expanding.
Yes.
And I'm just trying to get a good grip on it.
The first method of understanding and receiving information is simply through feeling. So when the mind attempts to decipher or understand everything that's happening in these higher psychic levels that don't always fit into the same categories you're used to, it actually can bring about more distortion of this information. So the best thing to do is to really feel the information deeply and notice and observe the mind that seeks to understand every part of it, but simply stay attuned to the vibration. when you are feeling perhaps a galactic signal from the universe coming to you, stay with the feeling and remain present with it and go deeper into it. And in moments where you may be contemplating, remember the feeling experience of having those connections before. And in a sense, if you can recreate that feeling in your body of connection, you can reinitiate that sort of contact again. The same applies with the feelings that you get from connecting with nature or other people. When you stay very present with those feelings and the sensations in your body, you can allow them to expand and the meaning will become clear when you accept that you don't need to categorize everything and have the degree of understanding that you seek. Part of the process is the joy that comes in accepting the mystery of things.
Well, I think we got misinterpreted here that it's not, it doesn't come and go. This is a constant for me. It's wherever I choose to focus my attention, and that's where I pick it up.
Yes.
I've been working real hard on controlling it, you know, to not let it overwhelm me and not let it get out of hand as far as my projection, and learning my manners when it comes to people. I just automatically read them and understand their connection and their vibration.
Yes.
Oh, I'm putting it together. I thank you.
Yes.
Some of it really resonated. Thank you.
So understand, you don't need to control all of it. Simply remain aware.
Yeah.
To control the flow of energy can sometimes backfire. To direct the flow of energy is key. Much of what you were just saying before is about directing the energy, simply noticing the sensation of it in your being and moving it, intending for it to expand.
Right. Makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Yes. And the only thing then to control is your own mind. To simply not allow the mind to take turns in negative directions in those moments of flow. To allow your mind to do what it's doing without believing all of your thoughts, and attuning yourself to the wonder that comes with anticipating the great mystery of all that is.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Yes, so thanks to you as well.
So I don't see any more raised hands or questions at this time. Please comment into
The
chat.
question that was submitted before this session, yes?
Oh yes, that's right. I was just checking
Oh.
Facebook, and there is a question, yeah, that was submitted before. Let's see. I think it was a double question, in fact. It says...
So let's have one part at a time then.
All right. I've been having problems for a few years now with my left hip. What can I do to improve its condition? From Iago, I think is the person's name.
This part of your body then has to do very much with creative energy. And it has to do with allowing the feminine aspect of this creative energy connected with the left side here. So do you really flow with life? Do you allow yourself to adapt to the circumstances? Do you allow yourself to really receive all that flows to you and work with it and integrate it in your experience? As you bring this feminine aspect of your creative energy into your life, you can find that the hip itself begins to transform as well. Now, physically, there are some things related to it as well. And first is simply making sure that you sit upright. For any sort of slouching action will, over time, damage the hip and other parts of your body. And it also has to do with coming to move in more fluid ways, perhaps practicing something like qigong that would allow your body to flow and move your hip fluidly. You can even practice simply standing up and rotating your hips in circles and simply flowing with the feeling of that rather than stretching. Focus simply on relieving the tension there. This can help. Of course, stretching helps too, but we're simply saying that that is a different exercise than stretching. Simply flowing, moving your hips in circles. And that flow is very much aligned with the idea of coming into flow with your own creative energy as well. Allowing yourself to go with the flow of what you feel inspired to create or express, and really not holding it back.
All right. And so Iago had a second part to the question. And the second part of the question says, can I donate blood while microdosing magic truffles 1 gram every 3 days?
Yes. Well, that is a rather simple answer, but it is a yes. There won't be anything residual in the blood that leaves any sort of negative effect.
Thank you. And I think there's one, there might be a question that from the Facebook that might be appropriate to ask. Let me just check.
All right, yes.
Definitely. Could you, Kevin is asking, could you comment on the other hybrid projects going on other than the one with the Greys? I'm aware that other projects have been and are going on other than the Grey Human Hybrid Project. Thanks and much love.
All right. Well, you can consider that every phase of the Grey initiated hybrid project is its own project. So to summarize for those who have not heard of this information before, the Greys are an extraterrestrial group from an alternate reality of Earth that progresses in a negative, technologically based direction. They lose the ability to reproduce, and so they must time travel rather into this plane and create new species by mixing their genes with that of humans. And then the species they create comes to do the same thing. So the Grey initiated hybrid project is a group of 5 different hybrid races that each mix their own genes with that of humans to continue to experiment and eventually come to create a ideal race. Not that the races created in the process are not good and perfect in their own right, though the experiment goes on to serve a greater expansion. So are there other hybrid programs and projects? Not relating to your planet, no. This is a relatively unique experience, though in a sense, you as humans have already been hybrids, understanding that the Anunnaki that created humans, in a sense, hybridized you by mixing their genes with that of the Sasquatch-like beings that were then on your planet. The Anunnaki themselves were hybrids, coming from a split between humanoid Pleiadians that were, in a way, our very, very distant ancestors. And though DNA of beings you know to be reptilian, so in that sense, they were already hybrids. And well, many of the species out there are hybrids, as species in this galaxy tend to mix genes many times for the purpose of expanding more. So yes, there are many different hybrid programs. There are none other than the Gray Initiated program that affects your Earth presently. But again, the other beings that are a part of that program that are not the initial Grays look quite different than the Grays, and so you may mistake them as having no relation to them.
All right. There's just a couple more questions off of Facebook.
All right.
Robert is suggesting, I'm not sure if you guys will want to comment on this, because I know that you requested no personal questions be typed out, but just see what you think. Robert says, I'm receiving so many signals from every vibration that I focus on, from the galaxies afar to the planet at my feet. Starting to understand and listen. How may I understand?
Oh, yes, we've already spoken with this individual, have we not?
Oh yeah, we did, sorry. Okay, so then the last question is Eileen from Devon, UK. I've been receiving light language messages, which I write down. These messages are fascinating, relating to my spiritual journey, messages for my family, and names of past light beings, such as Zizakias from the Arcturian realm of Zora. I have been told to walk the bridge of Reem, go onto the path of green gravity, meet the key holder of divine wisdom, and bring back the knoweth to my family. Do you have any information I need to do? Thank you.
Continue to receive these light codes. Continue to allow this energy to integrate within you. And you may find guidance to share it with certain key individuals who will receive this as an activation and help you deepen in your own connection with these beings. The guidance you have received is accurate, and it is bringing you in a direction of truly integrating other aspects of your soul. So to focus on some sort of a parallel life viewing exercise to see what's going on out there, so to speak, could also be a helpful way to integrate many of the energies that are coming to support you now.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much on behalf of the people for whom I read questions, and for me. Thank you, Pleiadians. And I think those are all the questions that I see us having this week.
All right, yes. Our great thanks to each and every one of you. We thank you for co-creating these interactions and for allowing us to meet you in your world. It is a great pleasure for us to support you in these connections. And we affirm again that each and every one of you can act as a channel and receive our guidance out of your own guides And the more you allow this energy in, the more your planet in turn can transform when you apply this information and allow the energy of love to ripple out into your world through all of the actions that you bring it into. So a great love is again with you, and we then wish you a very pleasant rest of your experience this day or evening. Hello.
Awesomeness. Thank you, Dante.
Welcome.
And Ocean as well. Great
Always a
hosting.
pleasure to meet you, and thanks.
Thank you,
Josh.
Ocean. Thank you for all participating today.
Everyone for the questions as well. It was amazing.
Yeah. I'm a bit tired today. But yes, it was lovely.
That's lovely.
How's everybody feeling?
I've been sleeping a ton too, like 10 hours a night.
Wow,
Lots of great dreams though.
it's a lot of sleeping.
It is a lot of sleeping. Well, I wake up a lot, but a lot of dreaming too. Just sort of fun.
Yeah.
Any lucid dreams?
Gosh, I don't know. Some real zingers that I remember images of, but I don't know about lucid. I don't think so. How about you,
Awesome.
We'll
Josh?
get there.
Yeah.
Most of you find some microdosing with weed. It's not, there's no dreams. It's locked off for a bit.
Microdosing with weed, huh? Okay. Yeah, I get it. Are you eating it?
No, just very small smoking, like not even a
Yeah.
joint, small butt of a, let's say, of a pipe in a sense.
I
And
gotcha.
yeah, like it's been helping understand this whole transition out of the mind.
Okay, well,
Yes.
we're gonna end the live.
All right,
Bye,
lovies.
everybody.
Thank you. Thank
Hey,
you for
thanks
everybody.
again, man.
I enjoyed
Where are
it.
you
As
gonna go
wait,
on the
always.
retreat?
you guys can stay here if you want. I'm going to end the live stream.
That's so
And
sweet.
just thank
Okay.
for if you've benefited from the video. Donations are really graciously accepted. They support us in continuing to do this. So you can send it to
Yes.
the links there on the Facebook page. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you next week. We're launching the channeling course again in October. So let me know if you're interested in that, and I can send you some more information. So a lot of love to you all, and catch you next time.
Love to you all too.
Okay, the live stream's over.
Blasting love
And
all over the
now
place.
the recording is over.